Coming up on the pod this week, I'm talking about my shows in Sacramento and San Francisco. Big shows, a lot to talk about. And I'm also going to talk about an internet moment that I've yet to experience. Going to talk about that first. But I also want to mention tour dates because you know I got to do business, man. I'm a businessman, man. I'm going to be in Providence, Rhode Island this weekend for 4 shows, Friday, Saturday at the Comedy Connection. I've heard this is an awesome club, so if you live in the area, come out. It's going to be great. I'm so excited to go finally. And then I'm going to go to Portland, Oregon after that, May 10th through the 11th. 2 shows. Don't wait on tickets there. And then I'm going to be in Seattle, May 31st to the June 1st. And then after that, just real quick, going to give you a few more dates while I have you. Brea at the Brea Improv, June 6th, then San Antonio, then Austin. Then I do Florida, Panama City, St. Pete, and then I go back to Texas for Houston and Dallas at the end of July. All that stuff is in the description. Can't wait to see you guys there. Let's jump in. Well, hello. Happy Wednesday. Don't like saying hump day. Not into it. Don't understand what it is. Don't like it. I'm wearing an It's Always Sunny shirt right now. This is what I like to call a house shirt. This is a shirt I only wear at home. I don't ever like to wear my house shirts in public. These are my cozy shirts, and these are shirts maybe I'm a little embarrassed to wear. And to be honest, I don't really like, and I'm keeping it honest, okay? As if I'm going to come here and lie to you. I don't like repping, like, things. Let me be more specific, like TV shows or movies or bands. I don't love wearing stuff like that. I like wearing just blank stuff or vague designs that we don't really know what it is. I don't like wearing a, hey, It's Always Sunny Philly shirt. Hey, we love this show. I don't know. It just feels kind of dorky to me, but I just didn't want to take the shirt off. It's a comfy shirt, and I wanted to keep it on. Am I overthinking things? Fucking of course I am. But that's the podcast. This podcast should be called Overthinking. Welcome back to Overthinking. I'm your host, Will Buckrat. Dude, how are you? You know? What's going on with you? Where are you right now? Are you in your car? Are you in traffic? Are you at home? Are you at work right now? I'm curious where you are. You know, and if you're watching it, if you're listening to it, who knows, dude? First thing I want to bring up before I talk about the shows, as I now will get to do on these podcasts, now I get to come on and do the little tour recaps that I so fondly did at the beginning of this podcast. I like that I have stuff to talk about now about these shows and give you the inside, behind-the-scenes scoop. But first, little story time here. So I posted this clip last week. I believe it was last week. The boob guy clip. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to my Instagram or my TikTok, however you consume me. Hated that. However you watch my clips. And go check it out. So, and it was from the LA show, and it was a big moment. I talked about it last week. And so the kid in the video, what he did first, this kid's named Ethan, shout out. He commented on the video on the clip and was like, yeah, boobs, ha ha ha. Like, cool, right? I was like, oh, that's him, nice. Obviously, I was like, oh, I recognize him, cool. And then he DMs me a couple hours later, and he says, hey, is there any chance you can cut out the last part about the people's names? And that's kind of all he said. He said, any chance you can cut out this last part? And, you know, I think he probably just didn't want the clip to get back to them because he was talking about essentially like the girl he was dating cheating on him with another guy, and like he said both of these people's names, which is a big part of the clip. You know, I kind of had fun with their names. And so he said that, and I immediately was like, oh, fuck. Because I can't cut it out. It's already posted. So I have 2 options. Number 1, I leave it up. Or number 2, I take it down. And so I was torn. I have yet to experience anything like that. I've never had anyone reach out before saying, hey, can you take this down? Or even people that were on camera. Because, you know, I usually will have a camera on stage filming the crowd. And never, in all of the years I've been posting clips, not one time has a person hit me up and been like, hey, I don't feel comfortable with this being out there. It's a very reasonable request, but I've yet to field that type of request. And I know another comedian who I don't want to mention, but he has gotten some of those requests, and it's a really tricky situation, especially if it gets like a fuckload of views. Like, these people didn't come to the show being like, well, most of the people come to the show, they're not thinking, can't wait for me to be on the internet from tonight later. Like, these people are just going to have a good time. However, with the culture of stand-up nowadays, I think there are people that are like, I hope I'm in a crowd work clip, which typically those are the worst people to do crowd work with because they're doing too much. Just answer the questions. Don't be funny. I got it. So I was really torn, man, because I'm a big like right and wrong type of guy. Like, my whole life can be driven by doing the right thing. I will never make a choice where I think, oh, this is the wrong thing to do. I will always make the moral choice. And this one I was kind of torn because I was like, dude, I don't want to take the clip down because it's the you never know type shit. The clip with the algorithm, who knows? This clip could get 10 million views and change my life. That's the reality of what posting social media clips can do. You have no idea what's going to happen. It could get 12,000 views or it could get 12 million, and you are an overnight success. Not even an overnight success. Your just career skyrockets because of this one silly clip. That's a reality. So because of that, I was like, dude, I can't take the clip down. What if this was the moment? What if this was the one thing that changes everything for me? Truly. But also, I was like, fuck, man, I want to respect this guy's privacy and not, I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable. So I didn't know what to do. And I thought about it a lot. I was going to message him back no matter what. I was not just going to leave him kind of ghosted in my DMs. I wanted to at least talk to him. And I think a lot of people wouldn't even do that. I think a lot of people would just ignore it, keep the clip up. Sorry, I don't see nothing. So what I decided to do is that I decided to keep the clip up, obviously because it's still there. And I messaged him back and it was basically like, hey, I'm glad you reached out, and it's too late to cut it out, but I would love to give you free tickets next time I'm in LA. Hopefully that can, maybe help a little bit. Sorry if this causes you any, discomfort, something like that. And he responded and was super cool about it. He was like, yeah, all good. I figured, just wanted to ask. Had such a great time. The energy was amazing. Like, thanks. And just let me know when you're in LA next. Like, super positive. Kid was great. It was all good. But I do feel a little guilty about that. And I'm talking about this on the podcast because I want to keep it real with you guys, as I always do. And just to kind of, I don't know, if you guys have any thoughts too, feel free to share them in the comments. But look, I kind of acted a little bit selfishly. I chose my feelings over his. And I'm not like super proud of it. I feel better knowing that we had an actual dialogue about it and he was okay with it. He wasn't like, oh dude, you have to take this down. Like, you have no idea what's going to happen. And I think there's an instance where if ever there's a situation that someone, something bad could actually happen, I would take the video down. But this just didn't feel like one of those moments, right? So again, I just want to keep it real with you guys and tell you that happened. And another shitty part is that now that this happened, it's kind of like a fear that this will happen going forward. Like, for instance, a clip I'm going to post on Thursday is about a girl who went through a breakup and the guy was a fucking asshole. And, she says his name in it, and his name is a part of the jokes I make. Her name isn't in it, but I'm now worried that she's going to see the clip and hit me up and be like, you got to take this down because this guy's nuts. So that's a fear. And I'm not really sure what to do about it. This hasn't felt like an issue until now, but, I guess this is just what it is, and I have to take it kind of day by day and feel, I'll try to make the right decision and just be careful. Don't be too selfish and just, make sure I'm being a good dude. But it's tricky. And I don't know, do the whole crowd work camera pointing to the crowd, part of me wants to stop doing that because I don't want people to be filmed and then have a problem with it later. Because again, like, they're not consenting to be filmed. I know people that put up signs outside of the club that basically say, hey, if you enter this room, you're consenting to be, filmed. And I thought about doing that for the shows this week, but I don't know, man. It's just it's turning into this kind of weird game of how much to get people's personal stuff out there. And I may stop doing the crowd work cam. Someone to look at is like a guy like Jeff Arcuri. He's one of the biggest comedians right now, and he for all his crowd work clips, and like he never shows the people, and he's got a massive following now. Meanwhile, I look at my boy Michael Blaustein. He has our boy on stage filming people in real time, so he sees them. We see them in full HD. We see them in 4K. So it's these two spectrums where both these guys are probably some of the most successful comedians right now doing what I'm doing. And it's kind of like, okay, there's two ways to go about this. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that. And I don't totally know yet. But what I do know is that shows in Sacramento and San Francisco were so fun, dude. Oh my God. Sacramento, the plan was I do Sacramento Wednesday, San Francisco Thursday. I was doing the Sacramento Punchline, which I've never done. And, easy travel day. It's a super easy day for me. I'm staying with my mom at her house, and I was basically just going to fly into Oakland and then drive, 15 minutes home and then do the drive to Sacramento. The drive was brutal to Sacramento. It normally should take about an hour and 20 minutes. It took about 2 hours and 20 minutes. It was brutal. And my mom came with me, which she was on the fence about, but she ended up coming with me. So it was me and her in the car for 2 hours plus. It was really nice because we got to catch up and spend time together. If I was by myself, I think I would have been really bored because it was a tough drive. And, the expectations I had for the show were like kind of low. I knew that San Francisco at Cobb's was a big deal and ticket sales were looking really good. And Sacramento was a little bit slower on ticket sales. So my mindset was almost like, let's use Sacramento as kind of like a warm-up for Cobb's in San Francisco. That was my mindset. And I had two openers for these shows. I had my buddies Anthony Sturriddy and Nolan Culver, who are my guys going on this tour with me. Typically, there'll only be one of them because I like having just a two-man show. I like my opener going up and doing 25, bringing me up. It's just cleaner. It's simpler. And I also am financially responsible for these openers for everything outside of flights. So if I have two guys there, it's just more expensive, But for this trip, I decided to bring both of them because San Francisco is a huge show for me, so I want to share that with my friends. And also, Nolan's flying from Seattle, quick, easy flight, and Anthony's like driving up, and his mom lives in Sacramento. So it's like he has a place to stay. Nolan can stay there too. It's like it's a really cheap, cost-effective way to have two people. And so I was like, oh, let's bring both guys. And they alternated. So I had one, first show, Nolan hosted, and then Anthony featured. And then the next show, Anthony hosted, Nolan featured. So I flipped him up. And something that I immediately was faced with was a bit of my OCD coming out. When I was leaving in the airport, I realized I wear this chain. I'm sure you've noticed I wear a little bit of a chain, and I've had this for years now. I've had it for like 3 years now, and it's been with me through everything. All of the moments I've had in my career up to this point, kind of like my kind of ascension into as a headliner. I've always had this chain, and I only basically kind of put it on for important things or when I do shows, and I've never lost it. I've kept it. It's I don't know if I would call it like a good luck charm, but it's more of just like a part of my identity. And I get really sentimental with things, and so this chain's very important to me. It's a cheap chain. I could probably, I can afford to get a really nice one and upgrade, but I don't want to because this is sentimental. And I realized that when I was in the airport that I forgot it at home. And I've never been without this chain on the road. And so I was kind of really bummed. My OCD, which is also a lot of superstitions, which I've talked about on the show about, I had a bad set in this shirt. I can't wear this shirt anymore. It's the same thing of, if I don't have the chain, I won't do well. That's what my OCD and my anxiety tells me. But there was nothing I can do. I couldn't drive home and get it. Kaylee thought about like trying to get it to me somehow, which was so sweet, but there was just no way. So I had to just come to terms with this and face the OCD head on and challenge this and challenge my anxiety. And I did. I truthfully, from when I got to the club in Sacramento, I didn't think about it. I only thought about it after. I was like, oh yeah, the chain thing. So that was a really good sign. And another good sign is when I walked into the Sacramento Punchline, dude, I immediately loved the room. It is perfect. It seats 240. The ceilings are low. The stage is a perfect height. It's just like such a sick setup. I loved it. The manager was cool as shit, which sometimes you don't get, but that just sets the tone for the night. If you have a cool manager who's helpful and excited and a good vibe, now we're all in a good vibe. We're all in a good headspace. Let's have a good show. Because I'm easy. Me and my crew, we are the easiest possible people. The waitress at Sacramento was like, you guys are so easy. I'm like, I don't even know what else to do. I'm like bored. She's like, I got a Coke for this person. I got some chicken tenders and like, I got nothing else to do. Which I pride myself on that. I pride myself on building a really good reputation for myself. So show started and both my guys are having really good sets. Nolan gets off and he's like, they're so good. You're going to rip. And I was like, okay. Can't, still a little skeptical. I can't go up there overly confident. I got to go up with like a little bit of fear or else I'm going to be too like, yes, crowd rocks. I can just kind of ease up on the gas. No. I got to assume a part of me is like, yeah, they're doing great, but what if I don't do well? But I went up fast and I knew that I didn't go up fast. I went up and I realized they were so good so fast. I was doing like my first funny little observational joke about Sacramento and they like were popping immediately. I may even put that clip here.
I've never really like done a show in Sacramento in a long time, and I was trying to figure out like what are you guys like known for here? Like what's Sacramento's thing? I looked it up, and it was like the Kings, and then it said trees. Cool, man. Trees, just trees. This is it. This is Sacramento, I guess, right? You guys got the White House. That's good, man.
So I was just like, oh, this crowd rocks. And then sure enough, it was just money throughout the whole set. One of the best crowds I have ever performed in front of. I'm not exaggerating. Like top 3 for sure. The show was electric. I got about 140 in there, which I was really happy about. They gave away a couple free tickets, so it was maybe, paid people was like 110 or something like that. And for a Wednesday, I feel really good about that. Keeping it honest with ticket sales. I'm not bullshitting. I'm not out here saying I sold it out. I did not. But I'm really happy about that. The show was fucking fire. And also compared to the first show at the LA show at Flappers, that crowd was like kind of hard. It was the opposite. I was up there like, oh, this is what this is supposed to feel like. Dude, crowd work was going bananas. I got so many clips. I posted the first one yesterday about the optometry World of Warcraft thing. Like, so funny, dude. Oh, and the footage looks great because this room's small, so the camera can like get close enough to the footage. Dude, everything was so good. I wore a new t-shirt and it looked good. It felt good. I had such low expectations for the show that I think that may have helped because it was like only up from there. I didn't expect much, but I may fuck around and shoot a special in Sacramento. That's how good it was. And then the next day, we do San Francisco. And I've talked about it before. The club's called Cobb's Comedy Club. There's 2 clubs in San Francisco. One of them is Cobb's, and the other is a Punchline. Cobb's seats 400, big. Punchline seats about 180, small. My agent gave me an offer for Cobb's for a one night, and I figured I would either get that or a weekend at the Punchline. She gave me the one nighter for Cobb's, and I said, that's a big room, but we're going to do it. And again, I've talked about it before. Cobb's was the club I grew up going to when I was a kid. My dad would take me there. We would look in the newspaper for who the comedians were that week. And if I was like home from college or, when I turned 18, he would take me there. And I performed there before, but I've never headlined there. So it was a really, really big deal. And I was excited, man. I was coming off such a good show and I wanted to almost replicate the same routine that I had. I wanted to I smoked a little bit the night before Sacramento, so I said, all right, we'll have to do the same thing before San Francisco. Like, I me with that OCD shit, I had to like keep everything the same. And okay, the no chain, that's okay. Same breakfast, same, really just did the same routine. And during the day, I was a little bit stressed just because this was like a hometown show, meaning that I had a lot of friends coming. I had friends, families coming. It was a bit of a overwhelming feeling. Like during the day, I had people hitting me up being like, yo, let's hang out after. What are you doing after? Let's do something. Hey, when should I show up for the show? It was just, I was feeling very overwhelmed because I was like, dude, I have to just do the show. It's hard to also coordinate socially what to do. And not just, these aren't just regular friends. These are like some of my best friends that were there. And so I felt very obligated to give energy to them because I want to. They deserve that. But also balancing my own need for seclusion and time to just lock into the set. So I tried to find that balance, and it was hard, but I felt like I found a good balance, and I still saw everyone I needed to, and it was great. But again, it's like these first few shows I'm doing, it's like the LA show, the Sacramento show, my mom's there, San Francisco, I have all these friends there. It's like the rest of the tour, it's going to be so different because I'm not going to anywhere where I know these people or know just really anyone that well enough to be like, come to the green room. So I'm excited to just be like, okay, now after this, I can just be a comedian, right? The first crazy moment was just driving up to the club and seeing my name on the marquee. That was like, whoa. And I was by myself. And I think that was kind of nice because in stand-up, this is a one-player game. It's all about yourself and the experience you have. And so I just had this nice moment of like, wow, man, like you did it. You set out to be a comedian and be at the highest level, and you did it. This is a physical representation of you succeeding. And I'm not much of a crier. I wish I could have shed a tear. I didn't, but I really felt emotional about it just because I was like, man, I really, my dreams did come true. It was amazing. And, you know, my mom was there to see it, and my best friends were there to see it. My dad, unfortunately, couldn't come because he had a funeral to go to, very last minute. Awful timing, but that's life. And I'm just getting started, so it's okay. And I sold, I think about 200 and almost 70 tickets, 260, 270 tickets, which is the second most tickets I've ever sold. I didn't sell it out. You know, again, keeping it real, 400 seats is insane. I didn't sell it out, but the way the club's set up, the whole front was full. It was like the whole big front, and then there's like a balcony. So the balcony was empty, but the whole front was full. So it looked packed. Optically, it looked sick. But this is one of those clubs where the green room is like behind the stage. So there's no way for me to see the room unless I walk through the whole crowd and go to the back. And so I didn't really know what the room looked like until I was kind of out there. Sacramento, the green room is in the back, so you can walk out and see the room, see the vibe, cool. But this, I was like, I don't know what this looks like. So I stepped on stage and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Because it feels like almost like a theater because the stage is so big and so wide. It's just this big moment. And the show itself was pretty fantastic. It was not Sacramento. There's twice as many people. Didn't feel the same. I think because of mainly the size. Smaller the club, the better in terms of feelings and energy. So the laughs carried a little bit. They left the room a little bit. It wasn't as banging, right? But and at first, to be honest, the first impression, first couple of jokes, I was like, oh, this crowd's a little tougher. Okay, I'll get to work. It just felt different from what I experienced in Sacramento, right? But they were a little tougher. Took a little more time to figure out, and had some crowd work moments. I had this one thing with a guy named Sven. Shout out if he's listening. It was this dude in a green tracksuit in the front row, and he was saying all sorts of wild shit. And he was getting big responses. But the thing was that the things he was saying was getting the big laughs. Not as much the stuff I was saying. I had a few funny comebacks, but my guy was killing. And I want to post that clip, but it was the thing of like, dude, he's being the funny one. That's my job. For example, if you look at like the optometry glasses clip from yesterday, he's just giving me information and I'm making the jokes. But the guy at San Francisco, he was saying shit that was leaving me speechless. I was like, you know, he was gay and I was like, what do you look for in a man? He said someone with a yacht. And I was like, okay, what? Like big response. And then I said, what else? And he said, slippery shoes. And I was like, huh? And he said, yeah, so they can slip and fall and I can inherit the yacht. I was like, dude, and he's killing. It honestly left me kind of speechless. I was like, dude, what could I say to be funny now? You're saying all of the funny things. Slippery shoes could have been my line, but you got to it first, you funny motherfucker. But it was a big start, man. People were like talking about that dude. And so I kind of get back, and then I go back to doing jokes. And jokes, it was kind of like, it was hard to get the people going as much as the crowd work stuff was, but I did my best. And eventually I dipped off to like the left side of the room. I started talking to like a young lady and a young man about their dating situations. And that ended up being like super funny. And I'm going to post those clips. So I can't wait to show you guys that. This girl was dating a Russian guy, and this dude stalked his girlfriend on social media. Just some really funny stories. And I felt really good about myself and how I handled those situations. So the clips you see will be those. And maybe the Sven guy about the yacht, maybe I'll post that. We'll see. But overall, man, it was one of the craziest moments of when I was done. And by the end, I felt really good about the set. And when I was done, what I do is I say thank you. I put the mic in the stand, take in the applause, and then say basically like, a genuine thank you for coming out, explain the meet and greet, and then I'm out of there. And for this one, I basically said, this is a very special show to me. My dad took me here growing up, and I posted this on Instagram. And before that, like when I said thank you, goodbye, the applause like didn't stop. It kept going. So much that like I almost didn't know what to do. I was just standing there in like the dream comedy club, achieving my dreams, and people are just applauding for me and not stopping. It like kept ramping up. It was so beautiful. But I also don't even know what to do in those situations. I'm like, I'm not, maybe because I'm not used to it, but I look back and I'm like, did I handle that well? Did I soak it up? Was I awkward up there? It's like the stand-up part I know, but it's the like standing on stage getting applauses or walking out on stage. Hey, like these moments I'm still not really comfortable with. I'm used to going up in a room where no one knows me. So even after, doing these shows for a year and change, it's like I'm still figuring some stuff out. It was amazing, man. That the response was that applause was nothing like I've ever experienced on this ride. And it was also one of the longest meet and greets I've ever had. If not it was like kept going. And people were so pumped and so cool. And first time I met podcast listeners. Yes, dude. I had a few people tell me they listen to the podcast. That's the first time that's happened, I think. Yeah. That shit meant a lot to me. I'm telling you guys, if you come to a show, or when you come to a show and you do the meet and greet, please tell me you're a podcast listener. Because, dude, we're in this little club together. This isn't a big thing. We are in this together. So we're an indie group. So I won't, please tell me, because it's really cool to meet you guys in person. So it was amazing, man. It was just, I do still find myself being a little bit critical of myself and a victim of my own perfectionism, especially with the San Francisco show, because there were still things I was like, I wish I did this differently. But in hindsight and looking at the footage, I was like, man, it was a phenomenal show. I got so many messages about it. It was just beautiful. So what an amazing night. What an amazing trip overall. I just, everything was good. Everything was happy. I just feel so confident going forward. It was like the shows were great. My agent was happy with the numbers. I got a bunch of clips. Your boy's stoked. I cannot wait for the rest of the tour. I genuinely am feeling like really confident and really excited. The set is also tight and I feel good about it. There's no lulls. It's all working. I'm in the flow right now. I'm really excited. And that's it, man. That's the story. Please subscribe to the pod if you haven't yet. I would really appreciate it. And I'm going to be posting more YouTube clips of stand-up, not like YouTube shorts, because I don't find those very, very, I don't know, I can't get a big pop on YouTube shorts. So I'm going to try to post longer, maybe 2 to 4 minute kind of widescreen, so it looks good on your TV stand-up clips like I did with the best of crowd work video. So I'm going to start doing more of that just because some of these clips can be longer than a minute. Like the glasses guy from yesterday, that's a long clip. So I'm going to post the full, like the extended cut on my YouTube more. So keep an eye out for that. Again, Providence this weekend, and then Portland and Seattle. Those are two big markets for me. So don't wait to get tickets because hopefully those will sell out, and we'll keep this thing going, man. I'm excited to keep doing these tour recaps again, kind of get back to the origin of this podcast and what I wanted to do. And that's all I got. So have a great rest of the week. Please subscribe. And I really appreciate y'all going on this ride with me. And I can't wait to meet you guys in person. I'll see you next week.